Hey guys, brand new podcast coming at you, and it is the return of the Talking Dirt podcast here with myself, Mr. Ryan Williams, and my co host, Matt Pridge. And now, before we get into today's episode, I just want to thank everybody for sticking with us for the little bit of time that we took away. Of course, I had to move into the brand new Talking Dirt studio, and I've got a lot of cool things in the works, including some live shows, some in person interviews, all kinds of stuff coming your way. But before we get into all that, we have got to get this show back on the road. So without further ado, I welcome you back to the Talking Dirt podcast. Well, good evening, race fans of the internet. So good to be back with you here after our little month's hiatus there. You're listening to the Talking Dirt podcast, the reboot of the Talking Dirt podcast, that is, with myself, your host, yours truly, Mr. Ryan Williams, and joining me once again tonight, back on the Talking Dirt podcast with me as we relaunch it, Mr. Matt Pridge. And Matt, welcome back to the show, the best co-host in all the land. How you doing this week?
I'm doing all right, man. Can't complain too much.
Can't complain too much. You got a lot going on in your neck of the woods. We're recording this a little bit
Yeah.
early because you have a date with destiny up in West Virginia, taking that old blue gray that you got in the shop back behind the house. You're gonna take that up there, get some updates done to it. I hear.
Well, yeah. If y'all remember, of course, I bent the front clip in my car back in July, and we're taking it up to Rocky to get reclipped, and it will come with some updates and stuff. But I'll be leaving as soon as I get off of work tomorrow, Wednesday, or excuse me, Tuesday, and we'll go up there Tuesday night. Go up there to the shop, have it up there first thing in the morning Wednesday, and they said they should have it done in, like, 4 or so hours, and, well,
Yeah.
I guess take a tour of the rocket facility and then come back to Marion.
I was about to say while you're up there, take in as much advice as you can. Do you know who's gonna be there? Is Mark gonna be there? Do you know who you're gonna be talking to?
No, not at all. I don't have a clue. I mean, I ain't no special guest or nothing, so
Yes, you are the co-host of the Talking Dirt podcast. You are a special guest anywhere and everywhere. But no, dude, like I was saying, just go in there, take in all that you can, take in all the knowledge that anybody up there is willing to give you. Because I mean,
might
is
try to
is
steal a ride from Hudson O'Neal, though.
there you go. I don't know if that one's gonna happen, but you can
Nah.
try. Speaking of Hudson O'Neal, of course, it was confirmed a couple of months ago that he would be taking Brandon Shepard's spot in the Rocket One house car. And now just breaking today, actually, this broke probably a couple hours ago. It's now known that Devin Moran will be partnering with Hudson O'Neal's former team, Double Down Motorsports. The Roger Sellers owned number 71, or was a 71. Probably going to switch over to a 9 or whatever Devin decides to go with next
So,
season.
cool fact, that team, my car used to be a part of.
It was a double down car.
Yep,
Do you remember? Do you know who drove it?
John Blankenship,
John Blank. I tell you that now
23.
that's going to sidetrack me a little bit because back when okay, so for those of you that know me know the story, but for those of you don't, you don't. Whenever I was a little kid, really big into dirt track racing, went every single weekend with my grandfather, and then I got out of it for a long time. But when I first got back into it, probably 2015, 2016, started getting back in heavy. John Blankenship's coal car. You know that car, Matt? The coal car?
Yeah, my car used to be that car.
Yes, okay. That was one of the first cars that I saw that caught my attention, and I'm looking all over the place to try and get a 124th or something of it. I've been trying to find one for months now. Speaking of 124ths and all kinds of diecast, the Talking Dirt Studio is almost complete. We got a piece of Matt's current car in the studio. We got some mini doors. I know I got one of Chris Ferguson's dirt late model, the Million car. I got a mini door of that one. I got a Bobby Pierce Wonder Bread car, or mini door, excuse me. And I've got a cutout of one of the baddest throwback raps that I have ever seen on a dirt late
Yeah.
model, Matt.
Yeah. Oh, in general, not even just dirt
In
late
general,
models, in
and
general.
it is so good because it's one of the best movies of all time. If you don't know what we're talking about Jonathan Davenport's World 100 throwback to Brewster Baker, that happened what now 4 years ago almost, probably. What was it, 2019? So
No, I think
3
it
years
was
ago
like I think it was more recent. No, it
was
might have been 2019.
I think it was 2019 because I know he won that
Yeah.
race, and then of course Overton then
Dang, I
went
can't believe it's been that
on
long.
a choke. Yeah, it's been a while, man, but they still sell the cutouts of it, and I got
What a
one.
phenomenal, just amazing,
Yeah, that was
throwback rap.
one of the coolest raps of all time, and of course we gotta gotta go with some of the on podcast favorites. Got a Mikey Marler mini door, Ricky Weiss, who will fun fact, one of Banjo's wife's one of her favorite drivers. But I did have to correct her on how to say his last name a couple of times. So that was funny. Um, Gotta support Chris Smokey Madden and Scott Bloomquist. They're both on the wall, and yes, it's the throwback number 18 that he drove, that mini door they put on their websites and all. Um, Looking for more though, looking for
I got
some
mini I
actual.
got I got 4 mini doors.
You got four minis? What you got?
Yeah, I got remember when Chris Ferguson first went to the white and gold wrap,
Yeah,
like a year or 2 ago?
yeah.
I got that one, I got him to sign it at
Mm,
Cherokee. I got the
mm.
small one, and I got the big one in the trailer. I bought that one for my dad and, got that, autographed as well. I got an autographed, Jonathan Davenport. I got that when, I saw the Lucas Oil race in Fayetteville before they reconstructed the track. And then I got, of course, I had to get the Hunt the Front ones. I only got, Joseph and Jonathan's.
I tried to
They're
get one of
signed.
Joseph's. Yeah, they're signed. I tried to get one of Joseph's not too long ago. Whenever I was first hanging the mini doors, all sold out. So that kind of sucked. And
The doors I got are from last year's wrap, so it's just got the white
right,
on the bottom. And when I when it was being purchased, the Jesse one was gonna be bought too, but they were sold out, which I think
oh
is
yeah,
funny.
yeah, man,
I
those
think it's
guys are
funny, the
doing.
one with the least amount of racing experience.
Well, yeah, because he jumped in it so hot. See, what Jussie did right is he went and established his own fan base away from Hunt the Front,
With
and
iRacing,
yeah, with iRacing, Twitch,
which
because
yeah.
I mean, you got to realize out there, guys, that Twitch viewers and YouTube viewers are usually on opposite playing fields because a lot of those guys and gals will be loyal to one or the other. But what Jesse did, which was really smart, was build a fan base on Twitch and bring that over to the YouTube channel because Hunt the Front's still growing like wildfire.
Well,
I commend
see,
them for that.
here's the thing, what's awesome about him, he's able to I mean, obviously, the fan base he has on Twitch is the same fan base Hunt the Front has, but
Sure, yeah,
he's able to kinda, like, piggyback the fans and stuff off of that and put his own twist of it, so now he's distinct from the rest of the group as well,
right.
Joseph's the driver, uh,
Well, Jesse's also the
Jo
driver too now.
right, right, he's also a driver now too, but,
He's
like,
pretty darn good too.
they got their individual things, I guess.
Right.
I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm bad with English names.
Right. Nah, you're good, man. I totally understand what you're saying, but yeah, he's done some big things. Really, really good merch seller too. If I do say so, really good merch seller, and he's also really good about connecting with fans, and that's another thing why I think that the excuse me, the potential for growing yourself a platform on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook gaming, whatever the heck. If you're playing iRacing, it's so easy because you can play games with fans all night long. You set up a server for 60 people, 60
Mhm.
of your fans are going to jump in. It's such a great platform. The game itself, or the service itself, the what's it called, a simulator, the simulator itself is such
Simulator, yeah.
a good platform to grow a fan base off of. just
It
mainly
really is.
because that you can give back to the community. You can, play games with your community all night long, without delay. And he's done a really good job of that, and I commend him for that. And I kind of hope to do similar stuff with Talking Dirt eventually. But of course, that's still in the works because I haven't gotten the simulator moved into the new setup yet because I've been having some vehicular problems of my own. A tank of bad diesel is costing me a lot of time with my truck right now. So that's unfortunate, but hey man, you always in this life you always gotta keep an eye on the bright side, Matt.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like just like you did with the race car, everything can be fixed. The best thing in life is that we are all okay. I'm all moved into the new TD studio, and we are ready to bring you guys weekly podcasts once again. So that's the cool stuff. Now, enough of the life updates. Man, we got a lot of racing to cover because we have missed quite a few weeks here.
Yeah.
Quite a few. I believe the last thing that we did was give the ladies and gentlemen of the internet a preview at the Gibbons Memorial from Sumter Speedway, which happened all the way back on October 8th. It's currently the 24th of October, so we're way
Almost a month
behind.
ago.
Yeah, we are way behind on this one, but a little flashback to the Gibbons Memorial at Sumter Speedway. Of course, I did a big write up on the history of the Gibbons Memorial. It started after the passing of Little Ed Gibbons' father, Mr. Edward Slick Gibbons. Um, and Slick goes way back. He was a track champion at Sumter back in the '60s. He drove a number 50 car for I believe it was a Disher fella that owned and handled operations on it. But Slick was just a legend around here, and so was Little Ed when Little Ed came out, 2001 Carolina Clash champion.
He was legendary all over though.
Yeah, he was legendary all over. He's won races at Fayetteville, won races at Lakeview, won races
But he called
all
Sumter
over the
his home.
Carolinas. He did call something obviously from Manning. And heck, you can still see that Gibbons family all over Manning and Sumter. Really, they're all over the place, and they came out in pretty much full support. Um, to go down to victory lane, I had Miss K give the trophy to the race winner, but yeah, the Clash put on a heck of a show, Matt. First thing I want to talk about though from that night is the track that we had. Honestly, I don't know what he did different. Of course, the weather was perfect for it. The weather, there was a good amount of moisture in the air. It was nice and cool. That plays a lot into the fact of the track not rubbering over like it normally does. But dude, when I tell you that that's probably minus the character that we had in the track, as far as moisture and grip and racing ability, that's probably one of the best tracks that we've had all year. Probably better than any track that you've run on at Sumter. Um, which I hate it for you that you weren't able to run it. But yeah, man, that track was absolutely beautiful, was it not?
Well well, see, here's the thing. It was super hooked up, had a lot
Yeah,
of grip.
yeah, yeah.
I would have liked to see a little bit less grippy of a track, quite honestly.
Why is that?
I I don't know. When I feel like it becomes about motor when
Well,
when the track's super gripped up. I don't know.
that's the thing with a lot of tracks when they have supers and whatnot come to town, they're gonna dump the pond on it. They're
Yeah.
gonna fill it up because you got those big motors that need that grip, and they put on a heck of a show. I mean, it's probably the best late model race that I've seen at Sumter Speedway since I came back around in 2019, and that's no bullcrap here. That was one of the best late model races. Your top three, they were under a blanket for a majority of the race until a lap car. Of no fault of his own. He was trying to pull in, but your leaders didn't see him until the last second, and I think it clipped Rambo, and
Yeah.
I think the third place and the first place car missed it, but I think Rambo got into him, and that kind of killed Rambo's momentum. He just rode from there. But yeah, Clash, heck of a race. I got to work with one of the best voices in dirt track racing, in my opinion. One of my absolute heroes, legend, one of the best of all time, Mr. Mark Huey. Mark was in the house and put on a master class that put me to shame. I'll say that. That's the least I can say about that one. Mark's great, man. When you talk about dirt track racing voices. I mean, just in the southeast alone, man. You think back to all the people that have announced at Sumter over the years; they've been great. Of course, Allen at Lakeview, he's got a great voice on him. My buddy Matt Wheeler, he's got his own style. He's great. Talk about Hunter Weaver from Blue Ridge, got his own style. You know, that's the thing, Matt. If you want, to pursue a career once your racing days are done in broadcasting or whatever, for an announcer, you've got to find your own style. And for me personally, I'm working on it. I don't know if I am if I've got my own style yet, but I'm working on it, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I don't know. My plan is to be like Red Farmer, to be honest with you.
Race 397.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
Man, speaking of Red Farmer, they had a tribute race for him at Talladega not too long ago. That went off
yep,
without a hitch too. I want to say
yep.
Brandon Overton won out there for that one, which was pretty cool. But yeah, Red Farmer, a absolute legend. Uh, Still wish the best for him. Remember, he had those health struggles earlier in the year, and now he's bounced
Well, I
back
heard he
full
was out
stride.
there racing in that race in the 604.
Yeah, he was. I believe he was. Now, don't quote me on that, but I believe that I believe I remember seeing him on the broadcast. So that was really really cool to see. Of course, absolute legend. Uh, if I'm not mistaken, the only living member of the Alabama gang, I believe.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure if he was in it or not.
yeah. Oh, yeah. He was in the Alabama gang. I'm just trying to think if he's the only living member left or not.
Well, I think Bobby Allison's still alive.
Is Bobby still alive?
Yeah, I seen him at Darlington a couple years ago. I seen people posting pictures with him this year.
Oh, okay. Well, then might not be the only living member of the Alabama gang. I couldn't remember if Bobby Allison was still living or not. Um, but yeah, man. Also, speaking of stuff I have hung up here in the office, in my collection, I gotta thank Miss Virginia Ayers for this, but I have a copy, Matt, of one of the first times that the NASCAR late model stock division back in the 50s. One of the first times they ever came to the then Gamecock Speedway, before it was renamed Sumter Speedway, following I think a change of ownership. They renamed it to Sumter Speedway. But dude, it's got some crazy names on it. Junior Johnson and I believe Kel Yarborough's in there somewhere. I have to go take a better look at it. But yeah, really cool. I got to thank Miss Virginia Airs a ton for that. Got it hanging up here. And I got some other cool stuff that's going to hang up in the office as well. Like I got a signed Chris Ferguson shirt from I believe it was one of his Charlotte schemes back in like 19 maybe, and got him to sign it at Gaffney one day. So yeah, a lot of update talk here. I just wanted to let you guys know, what's going on. Where has Talking Dirt been? Of course, it was down for a little while because I was moving into the new house, and Matt had a lot of stuff going on, and now we're recording early, of course, because Matt's got to go out of town. So hey, at least you guys get Talking Dirt again, and we're working on some cool stuff, Matt. Working on trying to get up, a video feed every now and then. Some really cool stuff with Talking Dirt. So y'all be sure to follow along. It's gonna be a fun ride. Let me just say that. Now, Matt, I have rambled long enough. I'm on puppy duty, of course. If you hear any yips, it's a little puppy man. But let's actually dig into some racing here. Because there has been, like I said earlier in the broadcast, there has been a ton that we need to talk about here, and we're still with the clash at Sumter. Of course, Zach Mitchell wins that race, dominates hands down. Second was Rambo, and third, I believe, was Dale Timms, if I'm not mistaken. And we had Slick's widow, Miss K, go and give Zach his trophy, and all sorts of fun stuff that night. And then Banjo goes on to win Street Stock and Super Street, of course. So Wicked Fabrication on top at Sumter.
I was just want to say, me and James were sitting up there, and we were just completely flabbergasted at how he was passing, everybody
Yeah,
on the outside,
it's
like 2 cars
crazy.
per corner, just on the outside casually.
Dude, it I'm telling you, it was nuts how hooked up or how wide that track was. I haven't seen Sumter Speedway that wide ever, literally ever. And for him to be able to drive the way that he did, is a hat off how good of a driver that young man there is. Some other races from that night. Timmy Kimsey comes back. He'll win in Thunder Bomber, driving a Stock 8 car, one of the last opportunities that our former Stock 8 competitors have to drive their Stock 8s in Thunder Bomber. And Timmy came out and was dominant in that division. Let's see what else we got here. Extreme 4 had a bunch of those back on the 8th. Zach Bird was your winner there. Wesley Keller finished second. Michael Ott finished third. Oh, that was a crazy race too. Now coming back into my memory, little Skeeter, well, Michael Skeeter Ott had it in the bag just about before he pulled it back out and threw it away. Um, Last lap, looking for career win number one. Like he told me after the race, he stepped on it in turn three, got way too high and opened up the lane, and he got past. It happens in racing. I felt so bad for the young man, but he's gonna keep digging, and that first win is definitely coming for him. Econo 4 race Buzzy Johnson in the 50 car back on the 8th. He took that win, driving Miss Lisa Glasscock's car for the first time since it was flipped back in August. So they took a couple of about a month off there, and came back to win the Gibbons Memorial in the Econo 4 division. Mod 4 saw Jack Jordan and Aaron Weed. Man, I don't know if you remember this, but there were some tempers. There were some tempers after this race. If you
Yeah, I saw
saw
a
it,
little bit.
because going into turn one on the final lap, Jack was riding second, Aaron was leading. And Jack, he drove it in deep. I didn't see anything heinous. It was, racing for the win on the very last lap. And there was contact. I wouldn't say he, slammed him. I mean, it's hard to say from an unbiased perspective because I don't want to sound like I'm pulling for either guy, but it was a racing move. I wouldn't say that it was heinous. And the other driver, thought that it was, and he showed his frustrations at the end of the race. It is what it is at this point. It's a month ago. Nobody cares anymore. You know. But that was a great race. Mod fours are coming back to the forefront just about. And then of course we told you Banjo, he dominated street stock and super street. Him and Terry Caples pulled the 1-2 in both divisions. They're back on the 8th at Sumter Speedway. And then following that, Matt, we got a lot of cool stuff here. Of course, the Southern National Series, they ran their final race. If you'll remember back during the Summer Nationals, they had a rain out at Swainsboro.
Mhm.
That was back in what, August, September, something like that. Um, they had a rain out at Swainsboro, so they redid the race a couple of weeks ago. Now Carson Ferguson picked up that win, so congrats to Carson on a $10,000 win. That was pretty cool to see there from Swainsboro back a couple of weeks ago. I believe that was on the 15th of October, so a week after the Gibbons Memorial.
Oh, another race from that weekend. The Dirt Track World Championships.
Absolutely, we'll get into that in just a minute. First, we'll talk a little bit about Lakeview from that weekend, because Lakeview had a pretty cool race, the Tony Williams Memorial race there at Lakeview. Of course, street stocks were the first race out, and Matt, this was an interesting one because David and Terry Wayne Caples were locked in a heated battle there for a little while. David was able to escape him just a little bit, and then there with about 4 laps to go, remember he popped a left front tire, and from there it was defend the bottom. And he was actually able to overcome the busted left front tire, toting it all the way around Lakeview for the final 4 laps, and he took victory in street stock that night. That was a pretty cool win,
So
to
I need
say
to
the least.
confirm. Was it the left front or the right front? Because I've seen conflicting posts and I've heard both from Banjo.
It was
So
it was a left front.
it was the left front. Okay,
Yeah,
got
it was the left front. I don't remember how he busted it. I just know he busted it. Terry finished second in that one. Cameron Holloway finished third. How about that, man? How about this chokehold these Sumter boys got on Lakeview right now? It's it's getting a little bit interesting for some of these guys now. They go down there and they're finishing, top threes. And in this race alone, you had one, two, three, four Wicked Fabrication drivers. Well, we say Wicked Fabrication. Four, you had three Wicked Fab cars and then one more who's using the shock package from Wicked Fab. So yeah, shout out Wicked
telling
Fab.
all the man's secrets.
No, I ain't telling no secrets. The secrets you got to go to himself to get. But yeah, if you're looking to gain speed in a street stock, a mini stock, heck, even a late model, check out Banjo Duke at Wicked Fabrication. Go to facebook.com/Wicked Fabrication. Send us a message, press the little call icon, do whatever you got to do. But check us out at Wicked Fabrication. We can make your race car faster, I promise,
And make it look good.
and make it look good. Bodies by Banjo, some of the most beautiful bodies that you have ever seen. I guarantee it. Just go look at the Wicked Fab page. You'll see everything you need to know. If you like beautiful welds, if you like cool designs, heck, if you even have a baby and you want a race car stroller, we can do that too. Check us out, facebook.com/Wicked Fabrication. The number's right there. Give David a call and we can set you up. I guarantee it. Now, Matt, let's get back to some racing here from that night at Lakeview. Pretty good racing all around. 602 mods. Dustin Watkins took that win and I believe secured a track championship at Lakeview for the second half of their points deal, if I'm not mistaken. Super Streets were in the house. They were won by, I believe, Luke Owens in car number 01, David Royal second, Kyle Foster third. Stock V8 main, they got a big race coming up this weekend. But old Rocky Gasquet won in that number 187. Blaze Bryant, Jason Floyd took the top three. I got a dog squeaking a squeaky toy, so that's always good. Jason Brown won the SCDRA main. And then Bell and Bell modified or vintage modifieds ran with Ron Miller taking the win back on the 18th. And now, Matt, we can talk about the Dirt Track World Championship at Portsmouth, or yeah, at Portsmouth back that weekend. Little girl, Sadie. If y'all got black labs out there, send me tips on how to keep them from chewing on everything, please. That would mean a lot to me because she loves to just chew on whatever she can find. Yes, she does. She's a cute little girl, but she chews on everything. Anyways, Matt, dominating performance, 19-year-old Garrett Smith, the Georgia native. I've been watching Garrett now, Matt, for he's been in the scene for what about 2 years now in the super late model scene, and
Well, I
you
think
know,
he's really blown up this year.
yeah,
Last
yeah,
year,
yeah.
I don't remember seeing him out there last year.
Well, we
This
raced against
year,
him,
well, all right. So this year, all right. So last year, I remember playing iRacing with Garrett quite a bit. Now,
right?
and then I remember he said something. I was in a server and he had said something about running speed weeks. So I made sure to watch him early this year at speed weeks, and I've been noticing him all year, and he's doing real good for himself.
Absolutely. Since he made a couple of partnerships, I won't spill any beans, but he made a partnership with a fellow who has found them a lot of speed
Yeah.
here as of late, and he has taken off, and that's for sure. He's taken off. Had that big win at Portsmouth, led all 100 laps, and Matt, when I tell you, I was on the edge of my seat, wanting to see what his right rear and left rear tires looked like
Yep.
that entire race, because it was weird how Portsmouth was set up that night. Because normally it's a track that you can race the whole from bottom to top of that speedway, but
It was locked down.
it was absolutely locked down right there on the bottom. And Garrett was able to keep it in the rubber, keep the tires from popping somehow, and he pulled out that huge win there with
And
the.
you better believe me and Ryan made picks.
We did. I don't remember. Did you pick Garrett?
Yes, I did.
You did pick Garrett. That's right. I thought that Brandon was going to get him. He was there for a while, just didn't quite come to fruition. Chris Ferguson had a pretty good run until he had some tire problems. Did you see there's a
Youngest
picture
to
on
win the
Facebook.
race too.
Yes, now new youngest to win the race. He's 19.
Last was Brandon
Shepard.
Shepard. That's crazy.
Brandon Shepard was 20 when he won the race a few years
That's
ago.
2013.
Yeah, back in 2013. So that just goes to show you how long Brandon Shepard's been doing this, man, at the highest level possible.
And I
Brandon
believe
Shepard,
first to lead flag to flag in that race.
that's very very possible, as well as he did lead all 100 laps amidst people popping tires left and right, people cautions after cautions. He was absolutely dominant the entire night. So hats off Garrett Smith. I'd love to have him on the podcast. If anybody
Sick rap too for with the pink.
sick rap. How about that driver suit?
Yeah,
The
that was
driver's
nice.
suit was dope too, man. He was yeah, he's onto something there with that scheme for October and the driving suit and who he's got helping him. And the coolest thing of that night was um back before the race after Scott Bloomquist didn't make it, unfortunately. He was over there giving Garrett pointers on what to do in this track, blah blah blah. And Garrett credited him after the win, and then one of the coolest victory lane photos. I don't know if you saw this, Matt, but he's got a victory lane photo with him and Scotty B, and Scotty B's holding up
Yep, I seen it.
the little hang loose freaking the emoji from the phone. Oh, Scott's
Yeah.
throwing one of them up. Man, it's just cool, man. Scott Bloomquist is just cool, man. And even in his advanced age, and which kind of points me in the direction to talk about real quick. Do you think at this point in his career, Scott Bloomquist is going to kind of transition over into more of the less of the driver role and more of the, chassis builder, team owner kind of role? Like give advice to these young kids that are coming up because, he's getting up there in age. He doesn't, and he was dealing with all those health problems and such. And, this year he only ran probably, gosh, he had to run less than 30 races this year.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see him less in the car. I don't know necessarily like owning a team, but for sure you're still gonna see him, at the track doing
Well,
research and development for his chassis, and he's gonna be helping out, like Chris Ferguson, Ricky Weiss, and all those who run his chassis. But yeah, I don't think you'll see him in a car much. I
well,
mean,
and
I think he'll still race, but not nearly as much as these guys do now.
Well, he's dabbled in ownership a lot. Of course, when Chris Madden was driving for him for a while. Chris Madden drove for him for what 2, 3 years.
I don't think it
And
was that long. I
well,
think it was
it
like
was
1 year.
it was a short
Not
period of
even a
time, but
year. Not
still.
even a year.
Um, but he had Madden, and then when Madden left, he put Nick Hoffman in one of
Yeah.
the Bloomquist team rides. So I'm kind of and then when Nick Hoffman left, he put Kyle Strickler in one for a little while. Remember that?
No, Kyle
Um,
Strickland went in before Nick Hoffman.
Okay, so it was Strickler then Hoffman, excuse me. And then of course Ricky Weiss for a little while. And now Weiss has gone off to start his own thing with Sniper chassis, which are pretty bad to the bone race cars, if I do say so myself. Um so yeah, I think Scott Bloomquist is gonna transition more into the R&D and the building of these Bloomquist chassis. I think that with the right amount of luck and the the right amount of research and whatnot, these Bloomquist chassis are about to come back to the forefront because I mean you got plenty of guys winning right now. Dale McDowell, just to name one. Chris Ferguson having some great runs. There's a lot of guys in these Bloomquist cars, and the coolest thing is he won't just give a car to just anybody.
No.
He won't sell a car to just anybody. You have got to be on top of your game to drive one of these Bloomquist cars, which is pretty phenomenal if you ask me. So yeah, I'm excited to see where Team Zero and Bloomquist goes from here. Of course, me and you have talked a lot about who's the clear cut number one, blah blah blah. I mean, Scotty B and Billy Moyer are right there neck and neck, and of course, there's plenty of other names we can get into that regional, national levels that
I
are
think they ought to rock,
goats.
paper, scissors for it.
I mean, but you got
Best 2 out of 3. Not foot race, foot race.
foot race, foot race. Who's the best car? Who's the best driver? Foot race.
No, no,
Go.
no, no, no. You gotta do the wheelchair race like, Rowdy and Cole Trickle did. The wheelchair race.
The wheelchair race. Yeah, man, they could definitely get into that. I mean, but you also got to throw names in there that are winding down their careers. EPJ,
Ronnie
Daryl Land,
Johnson.
Ronnie. Oh God, yeah, Ronnie Johnson, Daryl Lanigan. Um, who else can we throw in this mix? Dale McDowell. Dale McDowell's got a ton of career wins, and he's doing really good now since he's come back from his health scare last year. There's so many more, man, that I can't even
Shane Clanton.
think right now. Don O'Neill, Hudson O'Neill's father, was
I really
great.
don't think he races anymore, though.
No, no, he doesn't race anymore. There's just so many guys. Yeah, Shane Clanton. Shane Clanton's been doing this for a long, long time. I remember. I just found not too long ago a video from Fayetteville where Shane Clanton was racing. I want to say it was World of Outlaws. And this was years and years and years ago, back when Fayetteville was before Fayetteville got reshaped. I'll say that. So yeah, there's a lot of guys that are going to be
Oh,
inducted into that Dirt Late Model Hall of Fame real
can
soon.
not late model related, but Kenny Wallace announced he's retiring from a full season in a modified.
Yeah, Kenny said that last year. He said that he was going to race nationally one more year, and then he was going to sell his toter and truck and just do some local racing for another year, and then he's going to retire full time. So yeah, sad to see Kenny go. He's been honestly, Matt, one of the best proponents of dirt racing that we've had over the past 20 years. Him, Kenny
Yeah,
Schrader, Tony Stewart, as far as national level go, like nationally known guys, NASCAR guys, to be frank, you got him up there with Kenny Schrader. Kenny's been doing this a long time, still driving cars. Kenny Schrader, he's still driving a modified. Um, of course, Kyle Larson more recently, Tyler Reddick back in the day. He's a national name that promotes dirt racing. Christopher Bell does it now.
yeah.
He's really good about that. Even Jordan Anderson, NASCAR truck driver, owns a late model team, and yeah, he's doing some big stuff with the dirt ranks, and
Well, if you want to get that far into it, Jeremy Clements. I mean, his how many
yeah,
work
yeah,
teams buys motors from his what is it? His
from it,
dad, his
yeah.
grandpa.
I'm pretty sure it's his dad. So yeah, I didn't even put that together. Yeah, Jeremy Clements is, fueling dirt racing here. Of
A lot.
course, Corey LaJoy, his family with the Joy of Seating. Um, and there's just so many that go into it and make a name for themselves in racing, which is kind of what some of our local guys, Banjo, he's trying to do kind of the same thing with building and doing upkeep and doing fabrication on race cars and whatnot. I think that on this attempt, he's really going to get it because the clientele for Wicked Fab is growing and growing and growing. And like I said earlier in the show, get in line, get your car done by Wicked Fab. It'll be faster, and that's a guarantee. Um, so Matt, some more cool stuff. We just talked about Garrett Smith winning the Dirt Track World Championship. Not a win that a lot of people saw coming. He backed it up with a solid run this past weekend.
Yep.
Believe he was. Let's see here. Where was he at? I want to say he was up there in Pennsylvania with Ferguson and the boys. Had a solid run up there. Ow, doggy! This doggy just chewing, chewing, chewing. Um, but yeah, this past weekend, a lot of racing, both locally and far and away. Of course, you had what was it? Was it Belton Speedway up in Pennsylvania where Ferguson ran? That was a pretty good race, 60 something laps on a big half-mile track. Ferguson had a pretty good showing there, and then of course all the local racing we had here, Cherokee Speedway. Matt, I know you want to talk a little bit about Cherokee because some drama happened. Cherokee responded to it, and yada yada yada. The Ultimate Series back in the limelight once again. Kind of unfortunately, kind of not unfortunately, but yeah, the Ultimates back in the spotlight once again, Matt.
Yeah, well, so leading up to the race, there was some bit of Facebook drama kind of going on. Uh
Hmm.
Fans saying, stuff about Cherokee running the ultimates and stuff, and they had to it got to be so much to where they had to make a Facebook post about it.
Right.
And it's not a short post neither. So, well, them talking about the drama was a short post, but then they got into talking about the weekend's events. But,
Right.
so I mean, when you're that public and uh, we're beating a dead horse here. You've heard it all before.
Yeah, we're definitely beating a dead horse, but some other
But
stuff that happened with
yeah,
Ultimate
some other so it came out that Hunt the Front from back in July of last year.
July 21. Yeah, they ran at Sonoya with the
It was
Ultimate
yeah,
Series.
and I believe
Um,
Michael Page had unofficially won the race, and then it came
right.
out that I guess it was tire samples or something.
Yeah, it was a tire sample off Michael Page's car. And of course, Joseph Joyner finished second in that race. And when Michael was thrown out, Joseph was declared the winner. Now, from Hunt the Front's press
Yeah,
release or
so
post,
yeah, so well, go ahead, go ahead.
they claimed that they had never been informed of Page's disqualification, that they have never, they'd never received the check until just recently. And they were kind of throwing some shade just a little bit at the Ultimate Series, which I mean, I can kind of see, I kind of see where they're coming from. But the big thing was that right is right, wrong is wrong, and ultimately, pun intended, did the right thing in the situation, in my opinion.
Right. Well, I don't think they were throwing any shade or anything. I just think they were just shocked. Um,
Sure.
it sounds like there was some issues with the mail, I guess. I don't know. But I guess Chris Ferguson took that to heart and he decided to share it, and all he said was wow. But I
And
don't think
then
that
the floodgates
situation.
open.
Yeah, I don't think that situation, is any way, shape, or form similar to what happened to Chris. So,
No.
but yeah, so that brought up the conversation with Cherokee, like I had said previously, and then yeah, so
And then they had a little bit more drama to add on top of it.
oh
Now,
yeah, yeah,
I will preface this by saying that I don't technically or necessarily like the droop rule that has been in effect through all of your major series. So you've got Lucas Oil, Ultimate, World of Outlaws, MLRA, and one or two other series, probably Clash. I'm not 100% sure on that, but they all at the beginning of the season chose to do a universal droop rule of, gosh, I want to say it's 30, but I might be mistaken there.
I think it's
Um,
51 inches.
yeah, it might be 50. Yeah, 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 yeah. I think you're right. I think it is 51 inches, and they give what an inch tolerance.
Yeah,
And the thing about Cherokee, now to preface this, Brandon Overton won the $10,000 race on the track, but then when he came in, they did a droop test at the scales at Gaffney and found that he had too much. He was too high. He was, I believe, an inch and a half too high on droop. Now, the only thing that I'll say is the scales at Gaffney, in my opinion, is not the best place to do a droop check. The ground's too uneven. You get them back to the front stretch where it's nice and even on concrete and do your droop check there. That's or the front stretch in the infield is what I'm saying. Now, that's where I would do it personally. Now, people do things differently. I'm not throwing any shade at anybody, but that's just my opinion there. But still, Overton was thrown out of that race. Ross Bales was declared the winner. Ross passed Droop check by nothing. Um, but Matt, that just goes to say, if hey man, I honestly, if you ain't pushing the rules just a little bit, you ain't trying hard enough. So hats off to Overton for his work on the track. It was a great race between he and Ross Bales there. Another big story, Dale Timms had a really good run. Car 07. Nice to see Dale really doing some big things right now. But another one of the cool things, Matt, was that amidst all the drama, Ultimate had a tremendous car count at Gaffney. I think 27, 28 cars showed up for their 10,000 to win finale. Of course, Zach Mitchell was the Ultimate champion this year. Zach's had a phenomenal season, wins all over the place, including now two at Sumter, one with Ultimate, one with Clash. But congrats to Zach on a great season. He is your 2022 Ultimate Series champion, $25,000, Rachel. So let's see where that puts him in that top 25 that we've been looking at for a couple of months now, which
it
still
was top
Matt,
30, I think, or
either
top
way,
50. I don't know.
still what I will say is that I would rather, like I commented back to the fellow that made it, I would rather them judge it based off of caliber of win and what series they win, like wins, rather than just money. Because even though Garrett Smith, he's just now finding his speed, he's now per that ranked like the
Well, they
eighth,
were
the
just making
seventh,
them.
eighth best
They
driver in the
were
world. I
They
understand
were
what
ju
he was doing.
yeah, they were just making a money list. I mean, I
I
I feel
understand what
like
he was
I
doing.
yeah, but the thing is, I think the wins should the purse of the race determines how big of a race it is, so I think that needs to play into effect.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
think
yeah,
it
yeah, of
should be
course.
wins. But one thing you said earlier that I wanna go back to is, you said something about if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I do not condone cheating. Don't do it. Don't
I
do
just
it.
said push the
Fine
limits. I didn't say cheat.
yeah, push the limits, but don't break the rules. I mean,
No, absolutely not. No, you can't break. You can't just be blatantly breaking the rules. You're gonna get found out every time. But a lot of guys, you got to push the envelope. Try to get a leg up on the competition as best you can. Everybody knows that.
yeah, within the limits of the rules.
Well, sure, but push those boundaries. See just how far you can stretch it before you get caught. Everybody's doing it, man.
Not I.
Nah, that might be what you need in your racing program. Push the limits a little bit. See where it gets you.
No, I mean, there's stuff I'm looking at in rule books and I see, but I didn't get the chance to try it this year. Maybe next year.
Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe next year, hey, maybe you get the car back in time to put it together for one last hoorah in here
Nah,
in
I
2026.
don't
I'll
have a
tell
right
you
rear
that.
quarter panel. It's hanging up in your wall
Oh,
right
it is.
beside you.
That's right. I mean, you can just put a piece of sheet metal up there and have it bare. I blanked on that. I was like, what are you talking about? And I looked at my wall.
No, that
Man,
ain't gonna
oh man.
happen. That ain't gonna happen.
No, well, hey, I mean, next year, Matt Bridge and Racing gonna be bigger and better than ever. Yes, puppy dog.
Well,
I see
Imma
you.
go ahead and tell you, I'm not gonna travel as much. I'm predominantly gonna race Sumter, Lakeview, and I'm gonna throw some Fayetteville in there. I wanna see if I can hang with some limiteds there.
I think you'll have a pretty good shot. I don't. There's not a huge. It depends. Really, when it comes to 604s versus limiteds, it all depends on how the track's set up. If it is slick as all get out, that 604 is gonna, be good. It's not. You're probably not gonna win the race, but that 604 is gonna be good.
Yeah.
And especially like places like Sumter that rubber over, blah blah blah, beating a dead horse. We talked about this a million times. Um, some other stuff that we need to talk about before we take a quick break here before the rest of the show. Of course, Matt, we had let's see, any more racing that went on before this past weekend that we could talk about. Of course, sure, let's hit on this real quick. We talked about Hunt the Front a little bit earlier. That crew just got a lot richer. I believe
Yeah.
$27,000 to be exact. The Flying Floridian Joseph Joyner wins the Crate Racing USA feature down at All Tech Raceway in Florida over Corey Hedgecock. Corey Hedgecock, of course, I believe Southern Nationals champion. Um, Corey Hedgecock having a great year, went down there to All Tech, but Joseph Joyner was just a little bit better on the night. So Hunt the Front got a big, big win down there in Florida this past weekend. That crew
Well,
dominant in crate racing.
I don't know how he finished, but I did see a guy that I had been racing with a lot this year. Well, getting lapped by a lot this year. Jeremy Steele was down there,
Right,
who
yeah.
also just recently celebrated his birthday, which actually is today, I believe.
Well, happy birthday to Jeremy Steele. Yeah, Jeremy was down there. A lot of guys that we might know were down there, and without going back and pulling it up right now, I do say that. But congratulations to Team Hunt the Front. They had a really, really big win down there at All Tech. And a couple more races to talk about here, Matt, from this past weekend. Of course, let's see here. Southern All Stars were in action. See if I can find it here to tell you guys exactly what happened. I cannot, but I think Pearson Lee Williams actually won that race. Um, and I can't remember where they were. Wasn't Toccoa? Was it Cochran? Maybe. Oh, there was so much super late model racing going on this past weekend, Matt. I can't even tell you. In
Well,
other
I have
news,
no clue.
before we talk about the cash money available, in other news, confirmed last weekend after his run on Saturday night, Dennis Erb Jr. is this season's World of Outlaws points champion. So congratulations to the one man band and team possibly not making him the one man band anymore. I don't know, but congratulations to Dennis Erb Jr. Fantastic season. Brandon Shepard actually took a win in his family owned B5 car that night. But again, congratulations to Dennis Erb Jr. on his championship with the World of Outlaws. And I believe, Matt, like you told me before we started recording, still locked in a heated battle as we come to the World Finals for the Rookie of the Year. I believe it's Tanner English and who else was it, Matt?
Max Blair.
Ah,
I
yes,
think
Max
Tanner
Blair.
English is in the lead right now.
Tanner English. Yeah, yeah, I think so. Tanner English just a little bit better as far as points go for the Rookie of the Year than Mr. Max Blair. Max Blair had a great season, I believe. Win at Gaffney. There was another one in Georgia, I believe. He's got a few wins to his credit. So yeah, great year for Max Blair. Ryan Gustin been really good as a rookie with the World of Outlaws this year too. And speaking of the World of Outlaws, since our last podcast, we have had the very unfortunate passing
Yeah.
of one Mr. Rick Eshelman. But yeah, with, the unfortunate passing of Mr. Rick Eshelman, rest his soul, one of the absolute greatest to ever grace a microphone. One of my all-time favorites, one of my heroes in the game, and like I made a post on Facebook saying that I would continue to chase my dream in his honor, and I'm absolutely going to try and do that. Really, really sad situation. I'd only ever had one encounter with Mr. Rick in person. It came at Lakeview back when the Dryadine series ran in 2020 at Lakeview. Or no, it was early 2021, excuse me, early 2021 at Lakeview. I was doing some interviews and just helping out the show where I could. Um, and I had brief conversations with Mr. Rick, and he was telling me because I was so early into my journey, just telling me keep honing your craft and the world, the sky's your limit in this game. You can go wherever you want to. And then he, brought me on the mic live on Dirt Vision for the first time I'd ever been on Dirt Vision. It was pretty cool. And introduced me to the world and had a back and forth with me for a couple of minutes on the mic while I think Alan was away doing something, the voice of Lakeview. He was away doing something, and me and Mr. Rick just had a brief conversation there, and that at that point in my career meant the absolute world to me. Um, that
Yeah.
I could have a conversation with one of the greatest to ever handle a microphone at all. Nothing but love and respect for Rick, his family, and uh, Ruben and Ben did a great job this past weekend covering World of Outlaws. And then I believe next week at Charlotte they're gonna have I know they're going to have James Essex, but I can't remember the other person that is going to step in there as well to try and honor Mr. Eshelman. But yeah, once again, rest in peace. Rest in peace to Mr. Rick Eshelman. You will be missed. I'm gonna man. I'm gonna miss that voice on four wide salutes and just throughout racing. One of the absolute greatest of all time. And speaking of greatest of all time, if we flip the script back to something positive real quick, uh, Matt, did you hear who was back on the call for Ultimates this past weekend?
Who was that?
The legend himself, Mr. Tommy Tedder, came out of retirement for one night only. I believe Blake had some prior engagements going on, so Mr. Tommy Tedder stepped back into the booth for the Ultimate Super Late Models, and boy, was it a treat to listen to him. Tommy's one of my absolute favorites. I've been listening to him for a long time now. Yeah, one of my absolute favorites. It was great to hear him on the call for a race this past weekend for the Ultimates up at Gaffney. Now, Matt, that's been a long time of talking about everything in the past. Now, why don't we talk about the race that you and I were both really keyed in on this past weekend? First off, though, speaking of what you were keyed on, and you weren't even at a dirt track, Matt. You were off doing your asphalt thing, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I was helping out a friend of mine. He's always helped me, no problem. So he decided to race this weekend, so I figured I'd be there for him. So we were at Timmonsville. He races in the Charger division.
And who is it?
Willie Granger. So he goes out there. He said, see, they get two practice sessions. I got there before he went to qualifying. Because they get there like early in the day in asphalt. Crazy. But so he said he had been running fourth all day. He goes out there and qualifies. He sits on pole for a long time. Then he ends up outside pole. I think there were 12 cars. Um, they start the race. Leader chooses the top. He has a bad restart, or he has a bad start. He falls back to third. Then there's a bunch of cautions. They get going. He falls back to fourth. Few more cautions. He has a real good restart. Then there's a cut where he would have came out second, but then there was a caution, and then at the end of the race, they finally got a green flag going, and he ended up finishing third. So
Not bad.
not
And
not a
you said
bad run at all.
this was at Timmonsville?
Simmonsville, yep.
That's a nice track there.
My
There's quite
buddy,
a few asphalt tracks around
I
there.
can't remember which one it is. I used to race go-karts with these boys, the twins. Can't remember which one it is,
Who,
Cody or
Cody and
Casey that
Casey?
races, yeah, trucks. He won the trucks, and the one that races the late model finished, 3rd.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, one drives the super truck and one drives the late model.
Yeah, their names Cody and Casey Kelly,
Cody
but
and
I
Casey Kelly, yeah.
one of them drives one, the other drives the other.
It's funny. We talked about them on the show before. I actually went to high school for a couple of years with these guys back before I got back into racing and whatnot. Never knew they were into racing at all.
Yeah,
So
meanwhile, I was racing with them probably back then in
yeah,
go-karts.
I never had the slightest clue. I'd love to reconnect with those boys and get them
Shoot,
on the podcast and stuff.
I spoke to him briefly this past weekend.
Uh huh.
No, I mean, we didn't really talk about much. They asked me what was going on with my race, and I told them, and
Right.
they obviously a little busy, so I made it quick and brief. So
Obviously, yeah. Well, yeah, I'd love to reconnect with those boys and get them on one of the live shows here in the future. But Matt, hey, we're getting close to time. Let's end this podcast off on some really high notes. Let's start here. The last race to talk about from this past weekend, the eighth annual Cash Money 100, originally scheduled to be at North Wilkesboro, but after that whole debacle, it was moved to Fayetteville, which it has been ran at before. I believe Willie Milliken, a winner in that race 5 years ago, and Willie actually pulled out a tribute wrap to Ricky Sullivan Jr. I believe Ricky's 2007 car, if I'm not mistaken. Willie
yeah,
pulled out a tribute wrap for that one. Beautiful, beautiful tribute job there by Willie Milliken and team. And he actually had a really good run in the race too. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Some more rap news. Brand new, spanking new rap. Beautiful Halloween themed rap with I want to say it had some of the Scooby Doo characters and some other stuff there for Dustin Mitchell on his Longhorn car. Beautiful rap for Dustin.
Daniel
Um,
Adam had a Halloween rap too.
Daniel Adam did have a Halloween rap. You're absolutely right. Daniel Adam, driver of the number 75 car, had a Halloween wrap on the car as well. So the night started hot. There was some great racing all throughout the heat races. And I believe it ended up being, if I'm not mistaken, let's see here. I believe it ended up being Michael Batten on the pole. Let's see here. Let's actually go back to Saturday and look back at the live timing and scoring from this
While you're
race so I
pulling
can give
that
you guys
up, I
all of the good
wanna
stuff.
there was one more cool thing about Timmonsville this past weekend I forgot to mention. Kevin Harvick's son was racing in the, Legends division out there. He was sponsored by Trackhouse. Also another, there's a guy I know that races go-karts. His son, I think it's Bradley Carter, was
Right.
also racing in that race. Also, Bradley Carter and his 2 brothers, fresh off of national championships, all 3 of them. Anyways, so him and, Kevin Harvick's son were racing a lot. Kevin Harvick's son almost took him out, but it was fun watching them 2 race. That's, potentially future of NASCAR.
Man, I believe it. Yeah,
But
that's
back to
pretty
the
cool.
dirt.
Yeah, back to the dirt. Of course, this race started. Um, you had Michael Batten out front. Michael Rouse was up there. Christian Thomas had some runs at it. But Dalton Wilson, who was the defending winner of the Cash Money 100, won it at Gaffney last year, driving the number 15 car. Dalton got out to a lead after about 10 laps of the race. Of course, it was a little caution plagued. The 100 lap race on steel block motors isn't done very often. Um, so you never knew who was going to have motor problems, tire problems, etc. So Dalton jumped out to a little bit of a lead, and then around the lap 20 or around the lap, yeah, 20 or 22 mark, you saw
Bless you.
one guy really jump to the high side at Fayetteville and make up a lot of ground, and that was the Dirt Deacon Christian Thomas. Christian was absolutely flying. He was following in Dalton Wilson's footsteps because Dalton jumped up on the high side, took a lead there at about lap 15. And then when Christian did it, Christian was able to get the lead there for just a moment, and then it was taken away from him. And then Michael Rouse gets into the mix there around the halfway point. Michael's running, second, third, all around there. And then Michael started having some motor problems, some fuel problems. He pulled in, so they changed the right rear tire, and he went to the back there with about 40 laps to go or so. And then from there, Tyler Bear. It's a name we talked about a lot this year. Tyler Bear driving the B8 car. The Virginia native was absolutely on a rail from there. Took a lead away. Um, took the lead away from. I want to say it was Dalton Wilson. Might have been Christian Thomas actually. My brain's a little foggy when it comes to this, but Tyler Bear, after he took that lead, was lights out in the black at Fayetteville. He was able to manage it super well. He went on to win the Cash Money 100, which makes that points gap, Matt, going into the last race in Bear's backyard as tight as it could be. So your Steel Block Bandit points, if you're following that series, are as tight as they get going into the final race of the year. Up at I want to think it. I think it's with or Beckley won. But yeah, that series is in for a monster finish this coming weekend. Um, so yeah, Bear ends up winning. Michael Rouse, we talked about him earlier. He went back to the tail with about 40 to go. Comes all the way, Matt. I really thought I was watching it live. I really thought that Michael Rouse was going to be able to do it. I thought he was going to be able to do it. Come all the way back from 20th to take a lead and win the race, but unfortunately comes home in the second spot. But that's just going to show you how good that team is, man. That Rouse Racing Engines team are absolutely lights out. They got what, probably 15, 16 limited late model wins around the Carolinas this year. The Sweet Potatoes Express, that car is an absolute rocket ship, and Michael Rouse is well on his way to big things in the dirt world. Puppy dog, quit your whining, boy. He is absolutely whining a ton right now, but trying to
So
finish up this
one
show
thing I
here.
wanted to say about the '06, I read a post today. They said they were dropping cylinders in that race, so that's what happened to them.
Yeah, they were dropping cylinders. Cheryl actually he posted, we knew the motor probably wouldn't last the whole 100, but heck, we were gonna try, and they tried, and they had a really good race going until the unfortunate happened there in the closing laps. Rouse finished second. Derek Quaid finished third. Sneaky good run for Beast Mode Derek Quaid, finishing third in the cash money. Willie Milliken finished fourth, and Dustin Mitchell fifth. He holds a slight points lead over Tyler Bear going into the last race here very soon. Sean Harrell, actually good run for him, finished sixth. Chris Blackwell finishes ninth. A car that races Lakeview a lot. I should see him this coming weekend. Um, Chris Blackwell finishes in the ninth spot. Jason Manley finishes in 10th. Let's see here. Last year's winner, Dalton Wilson, finished 12th. Old Hollywood John Eller finished 14th. Good run for Hollywood there. And then I believe 15 cars only end up finishing the race, but still a great run to say the least for Tyler Bear. They're going into the final race of the year. 305 Sprint Cars Carolina Sprint Tour finale. Jake McLean would get the win, but Richard Wisdo would claim a points championship for the year. Congrats to Richie Wisdo and his team there. Let's see what else did we have
Also, that'll
on
put
tonight.
Tyler Bear way up on the, because he's been winning some big money
Oh
races
yeah,
here
in
lately.
that money list, yeah, Tyler Bear's
Yeah,
going to be
but
way up that list now.
got to be close to 100K.
Because remember, 50 grand not too long ago.
And he's
Um,
won a
didn't miss.
10,000 at least. I know this is his second, at least his second 10,000 win of the year. I
Right?
don't.
Yeah, he's probably
Uh,
pushing 75, 80. 80 grand, 85 grand for the year so far. So really good year for Tyler Bear. Over in street stocks available from Saturday, Mike Maines won over Cameron Holloway and Michael Butler. Your top three there. And then Matt, how about they had like 50 Legends cars? I believe their big yearly Legends races coming up here very soon. So yeah, 50 something Legends cars sign in. Steve Smith wins group number one feature. And Ryan Shabram wins the group number two feature. 602 late models would then come out. Dalton Jacobs in the 7J goes to victory lane over AJ Bellinger and Chase Blackwell in car number six. And then to end the night, the 602 modifieds, Eric Bentley would win that over Dustin Watkins and Donovan Action Jackson. So yeah, great night at Fayetteville. And Matt, personally, I hope you're able to join me on Saturday. I am looking forward to being back at DeView. I will be at Lakeview on the call for all divisions of racing this coming Saturday. Should be a big night over, I believe, like $1,400 to win. Heck, it might even be way higher than that now, but a lot of money on the line in street stock, a lot of money on the line in stock V8. I believe the Kevin Outler Memorial in stock 8. And gosh, what's the one in street stock? It's another memorial, Matt. Let's see here. Brian Owens. Brian Owens Memorial. Remember,
Yeah, Brown Owens.
Brian and Kevin both passed about the same time last year. So yeah, the Brian Owens Memorial in street stock, the Kevin Outler Memorial in stock 8. I'll be on the call for both of those races. Should see a ton of race cars. Should be a really cool night. If you're in that area, come check me out at Lakeview Motor Speedway. Talking Dirt will be in the house, hopefully in full sale if Matt's able to join me there. Some
Well,
other
I
news.
hope I do get to make it because I did have a few. Me and Kevin raced a few times. Well, more than a few, about a handful of times.
So yeah, Matt knew Kevin, and I hope to do a really good job in his honor this coming weekend. So yeah, if you're in the Lakeview area, come check me out. Um, Other stuff going on, Matt. Dirt track at Charlotte, Dirt Track World Championship or Short Track World Championship, excuse me, coming up this weekend. I think Banjo and Terry Cables and a couple of the Sumter guys are going to be in action there. If you're up that way, go check out the Short Track World Championship. That's going to be
I
a
thought it was
lot of fun.
I thought it was cool because Dirt Car had posted Justin. Well, it wasn't just a picture of Justin. Justin was in the picture. Justin Mintz.
Hmm.
So I thought it was cool. That was the second time they've done that.
And he doesn't even race 602s anymore.
Nope.
Heck, he might throw one in there and go race at Charlotte. That's always a lot of fun.
His brother
Um,
might.
his brother might, and he might have a really good shot. Austin's looked real good as of late, especially with the clash a couple weeks ago. Did really
Man, when I
good.
went last July, man, he got screwed out of the feature, man. Transponder issues.
Right? Yeah. It happens. Transponder issues are so common nowadays. But yeah, Justin and Austin, if they show up there, they'll be a force to be reckoned with.
That's why
That
I
is for
suggest to get your own transponder. It is nice to have.
Yeah, definitely. If you're racing, get your own transponder. But the only thing is, when you forget to charge it, you don't have anybody to blame but yourself. But hey, don't
It's
forget to
easy.
charge it.
Just plug it in Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely. Just plugging it. Not a lot of guys think about that, and especially if you got them built into your race car systems, like Mister Rainman does, and he forgets to turn it on before qualifying every single week. Um, No, I just shots at Blake, but yeah, man, it's been a really good month here since we've been back with you guys of racing and family stuff, and we appreciate all of you for listening to the Talking Dirt podcast. Go ahead, add this to your list of podcasts that you listen to if you're listening on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Pandora, wherever you're listening to this podcast. Make sure that you leave a like, leave a review on it. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Follow us on Facebook at Talking Dirt on Facebook. Follow Matt at Matt Prison Racing. Yeah, tons of fun stuff. We got a broadcast coming up tomorrow night for the Southern Outlaw Auto Racing Association over
I
on
will
the
not be
YouTube
there.
page. Matt won't be there, but I will, bringing you all the
But check out
action.
the racing though. It's always some good
Super
racing
good.
on
Yeah.
there.
Super good racing. And then back on Thursday nights again with DOB, this time with Big Block Modifieds. So those were pretty fun last week. We'll see how they do this week as they continue on long races, but not quite as bad as they were whenever we were trying to bring you guys the 410s and the 305s. But Matt, Sumter's got one more race coming up here in a couple of weeks. The Vern Gettings Memorial with the Blue Ridge Outlaw Late Model. Speaking of Blue Ridge, brand new winner this past weekend for Blue Ridge. I believe Jesse Rocket finally got his first career Blue Ridge win. So congratulations to Jesse.
A lot of
Um,
first Blue Ridge winners this year.
Absolutely. Hey, we might see one this coming weekend as well as or not this coming weekend, then next weekend as they should bring a bunch of cars to town. Everybody likes coming out for those big that big Turkey Day race at Sumter every single year. But Matt, I believe it's about time for us to get on out of here. You got anything else to add? First off, we are so glad to. I know I'm glad. I hope you're just as glad to be back on the Talking Dirt podcast.
Not only that, I'm glad to finally be getting my car fixed too. So pretty happy about.
Yeah, man, dude, I'm happy for you. I can't wait for you to feel the difference of a fresh race car, um, from what you had because who knows, it could have already had problems when you bought it, and that's what the push and all was. But
Well,
yeah, I'm so excited.
the all right. So like I said before, what we think happened was there was the wreck where Zach Cox landed on top of my car. It wasn't his fault. And it was just a racing accident. And he had nowhere to go. But yeah, I think because like his left rear was sitting beside my carburetor, pretty much.
Oui,
So I think what we think is that may have bent it, and we just didn't notice it, you know.
yeah, possibly. I mean, that could 100% be it.
And it could
But
have weakened the chassis so much that because I like I said, I barely hit the wall at Cherokee, and it just shoved everything.
the big
So we
thing, it's
think,
all gonna be
yeah,
fixed.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's all going to be fixed, and Matt Pridge and Racing will be back and better than ever. Speaking of back and better than ever, the Talking Dirt podcast is back, and we hope that you guys tune in again next Thursday night when we bring you another episode. But it's been our time here with the Talking Dirt podcast, episode number whatever this is, the relaunch of Talking Dirt. I've been Ryan Williams, and for my colleague, co-host, and all around amazing person, Mr. Matt Pridgeon. We'll bid you a goodbye for this one. We'll see you in the next episode.
Later.
Later, Gators.